Hello, my name is Megan Faust. I'm with the Casey County Cooperative Extension Service, and welcome to Cooking with Commodities. So I have a super simple recipe for you today, and what's really great is you can either do it on the stovetop or you can do it in the slow cooker if you have one. And today we are going to be making chicken Santa Fe soup. So we'll go over our ingredients, and it literally is a dump and then set it and then come back later and finish it. So first you have 4 thawed, boneless, skinless chicken breasts. And so since I have 4 chicken breasts, but they were really big, I cut them in half because what they're gonna be doing is they are gonna be cooking in all of those wonderful ingredients to then help cook and then have all those wonderful flavors. So I have cut them into smaller pieces. So we're going to put those in the pot along with our chopped green chilies. We're gonna have 28 ounces of diced tomatoes. And if you can get them without salt, that's great, just because we're trying to reduce the amount of sodium that we're having each day. Then 15 ounces of black beans. And I have washed and drained these because we don't want all that syrup in there. Then we have 14 ounces of vegetable broth. And so I've got 32 ounces here. And then we have 32 ounces of chicken broth. We have 8 ounces of frozen corn. And then we have 3 tablespoons of low sodium chili seasoning mix. And these packets are about 3 tablespoons. And that's it. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna put everything in the pot. We are gonna bring it to so I'm gonna actually put it in the pot today instead of the slow cooker, just so you can see what the difference is. So with the stovetop, we are going to be bringing it to a boil, and then we are going to bring it down to a simmer for about 1 to 2 hours. What we're doing is we're cooking the chicken, and then what we'll do is we'll take the chicken out, we'll shred it, and then we're gonna put it back in the soup to finish the dish. If it's in the slow cooker, you're gonna put everything in the pot and it's going to be set on low for 6 to 8 hours or on high for 3 to 4 hours. And the same thing is you're gonna have to then at the end of that time, remove the chicken, shred it, and then put it back in the pot. So we're gonna go ahead and put everything in the pot. So I have my pieces of chicken. Like I said, they were really big. So I cut them into smaller pieces just so they will cook evenly. And because they are so big, I may actually add a little bit more of the veggie broth because I wanna make sure there's plenty of liquid with our soup. Of course, I'm gonna wash my hands since I touched our raw chicken. Then we're going to add in our green chilies. Then we have our frozen corn. And then we have our tomatoes. And our black beans. And then it calls for our 32 ounces, so we're gonna put this whole container of the chicken broth in there. And my pot is getting really full. So we're going to add in our 14 ounces. And then we're going to, which is about half of this. And then we're gonna add in we're gonna go ahead and add in our chili seasoning first. And then we're gonna add in about half of our veggie broth. And then we're gonna give it a nice stir. Go ahead and turn this on that higher temp so it can start coming to a boil. And then once we bring it to a boil, we're gonna bring it down to a simmer. So one of the things that's great with this too is if you don't have access to fresh chicken or frozen chicken, you can also use canned chicken. So with that, you would just be heating up all the other ingredients. So that would be your tomatoes, your corn, your beans, your chilies, and your broths and your chili seasoning. And then you can add in the canned chicken at the end. Okay, so we're gonna bring this to a boil and then we'll see you in a bit. All right, so it did take some time for our pot to come to a boil just because it's such a large pot, but we do have it boiling now. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn it down to where it's a simmer, and we are going to set our timer for an hour. And then we're gonna check on it, and if the chicken is finished and done and cooked, and we have to make sure that that internal temperature is 165 degrees Fahrenheit for it to be finished and completely cooked. If it's not, then we're gonna add another hour. So like I said, on the stovetop, it's 1 to 2 hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this down a little bit so it doesn't boil over. And we are gonna check it in about an hour, and then we'll see if the chicken is cooked and then ready to shred at that time. Okay, so our chicken and our soup has been cooking for an hour, and I've got my thermometer and I'm gonna stick it in our chicken. And I tried to pick the biggest piece, and we are at 165. So you guys can see, I know it's kind of hard to see. I don't want to burn my hand. There you go. So we will check all of our pieces and make sure that they're okay. And we are gonna start shredding. So what we're gonna do is just with this piece is we are going to I just use 2 forks and we just pull it apart. Oh, and see how tender that is and how easy it is to pull apart. We're gonna do that with every single piece, and then we're gonna put it back in our soup, and then it's ready to serve. So I'm gonna get to checking our internal temperatures and shredding if they are ready. And then I'll show you our finished product. All right, so I have all of our chicken shredded, and it was super, super tender and super simple to shred up. So now we're gonna put it back into our soup. Here you go. And we're gonna give it a good stir. And like I said, because we did have a lot, like the chicken breasts were quite big, it's gonna be a super hearty soup. What I may do is go ahead and put a little bit more of that veggie broth in there. So there's still a little bit of broth in there. But what's so great is that, I'm gonna bring it over here so you can see. It looks so good and it smells so good. And so what's so great about this soup is that you can then top it with cheese, like shredded cheese and sour cream. We actually use plain Greek yogurt, so you have a little bit lower fat, but a little bit higher protein in there. And then you can also top it with some cilantro or avocado and make this a delicious soup, especially with these cooler temps coming up. So I hope you all enjoy this recipe and have a great day.